Welcome, welcome, welcome. And thank you for joining us on another episode of today's Electrical Estimating. I'm your co-host, Chris Trommer. And as always, I'm joined by our other co-host, Sal Huerta.
Good morning, everyone.
Sal, we got Derek back with us today. And the topic of our discussion is going to be pitfalls, or I guess you can look at it as issues you can run into the future if you're not paying attention when utilizing your estimating software. So I guess really it's things to look out for. And one of them is something you're very familiar with, and that would be material pricing. So love to hear from you on maybe a little bit more on this topic, things people run into, issues they may have, and sort of how they, sidestep them and they don't have to worry about them so much.
So in the beginning, when someone gets or purchases an estimating software package, it comes with a preset database. And at that time, it's updated to the current price for all these items. And again, there could be between 15,000 and 50,000 items in this database of this software program. And as you can imagine, as time progresses, those prices become incorrect. And then the longer you go, the more they could actually be. So if you're doing a job and it's, your database is a year or two old, well, your prices, could be way off. And if that's the case, then, you could win the job and yet hurt yourself. So that's where material pricing comes in, to be able to make sure that the prices that you're quoting out that time are accurate, correct.
And those prices you're talking about, those are third column prices coming from manufacturers, or pricing that the estimating software just put into the database? Where are those particular pricing coming from?
So the database is created by the estimating software company. And yes, they're pulling the prices directly from sources that allow them to take that third column price or list price directly from the manufacturer. But that's just the starting point. Then from there, they put on discounts and stuff like that, the contractor does, to be able to get the price down to what's normally right in his area. That's the standard way. Obviously, using a service like NetPricer allows you to get your prices directly from your distributor into your system, so that way you're using an estimate price that is closer to what you would normally buy from.
So the pricing you're going to get with your standard database, you open it, you unpackage it, you start playing with it. That's going to be a third column price coming from the manufacturer, which is going to be a lot higher than an estimate price that you're getting from the distributor, which is going to be higher than your purchase price from the distributor, correct?
Absolutely. Think of it like you're going to buy a car and you look at the sticker on the window. You're not going to pay that price because that's the highest price. That's the manufacturer MSRP. That's what the third column of the list price is for us. But you're going to buy the car at a different price, and that's the negotiated parts that you're going to do, and that's what a contractor gets from his distributor.
So without a pricing service like NetPricer, you're going to open this software up, you're going to have your third column pricing, and then you have to manually figure out your discounts and everything from each distributor that you're going to, because obviously you're probably going to multiple distributors if you're using an estimating software because you're doing a larger project. So you got to go through and manually figure this all out, which could lead to a lot of inaccuracy and issues when it comes down to it with your pricing. So go ahead.
And time. I mean, it takes a long time for you to get all this. And think of the thousands and thousands and thousands of items that you have to put in a discount for. And also, it's not as simple as saying, I'm taking 10% off of this manufacturer. I mean, the sizes come into play. So a half inch is a different discount than a 3/4, than is a different discount than a 1 inch. So now you're going down to the item level to put on discounting off of this third column price, which is a very difficult process.
And so you're dealing with not only all the time that you're putting into it, which can add hours or days to your schedule of just trying to get the pricing, which could then also be inaccurate because, as you said, if you're still working off a database price that's a year to 2 years, and as we know, pricing has been shifting pretty rapidly over the last 4 or 5 years with COVID, and then the current situation so you could have pricing that's way off, and then you're putting your discount, which is still putting you way off. So now you have all this time you put into it, inaccurate pricing. And as you said, if you win the bid, you go to the purchase price, there's going to be a huge discrepancy, or you can be just pricing yourself right out of the bid because you're coming in way over the top.
Exactly, and so that's why there's services like ours that came into existence, was to be able to manage and maintain this for you as a contractor who's trying to learn the software, for one, and then two, having to do the work. So
Mhm.
this just takes one thing off of their plate, so to speak. And then Derek, talks a little bit about that as being a pitfall, because that's something that if you don't think about or consciously think about it, that's when it comes up and causes the issues.
All right. Well, let's hear what Derek has to say. As always, Sal, great seeing you. Great talking with you. And if this is your first time listening, please subscribe. We're dropping new episodes mostly every single Friday. So, Sal, as always, good seeing you. And take care, everybody. Derek, accurate material takeoffs are critical in estimating. What are some of the common, I guess, pitfalls that estimators face in this process, and how does Vision sort of help to address the challenges that they're seeing on a daily basis?
So we see this a lot. It's interesting. Even our current users, meaning the pitfalls or the bad habits or lack of good habits.
Mhm.
Our estimators aren't always somebody that sits at a desk and becomes a complete expert at being an estimator. They're oftentimes, like we mentioned, the owner who's wearing many hats, or maybe it's a I don't know, titled person or whatever that's doing estimating and project management and hands-on installation sometimes as well. So the pitfall so what I'm saying is they don't always have time to learn
Yeah.
everything about how to be a good estimator.
Mhm.
So we try to teach people some of that through our webinars and our YouTube videos, but it's interesting. So, like, one example is, a lot of estimators we've seen are using, like, an Excel file or something to do their bids, or some of them are just gutting it and kind of writing it up in Word and coming up with a number, and that works for some jobs, but as you start to grow or wanna grow a bit or wanna understand how much profit you're actually making, with a clearer picture, like, a lot of times they're missing small items, like, even down to, like, wire nuts. You might not think much of that, but as your jobs start to grow, even little things start to add up, and part of what software can help you with is that there's built-in assemblies that include all of those items, so you don't have to think about it,
Yeah.
and, another one is, well, pricing. We've seen a lot of people think that they know their pricing and, like, "Oh, pricing doesn't change that much." Yeah, sometimes it doesn't, and that's where you kinda get that false security of, like, material pricing is fairly static, and then all of a sudden it's not. We saw it big time during COVID, and then after COVID, we saw it come back, and so it's constantly
Fluctuate.
fluctuating, and that's another benefit of estimating software, of EBM, is the fact that it plugs right into price updates, and you can get, dynamic updates to where when the commodities, wire and conduit primarily, change, which they can quite often, those updates come right into your estimating software, and you don't have to think about it. Like, sure, you can do it yourself,
Mhm.
sure, you can do it yourself, and some of our customers do. But do you have that time, and wouldn't it be nice if it also filled in those blanks that you missed, or wouldn't it be nice to have a nice benchmark number so that when you look at it and you're like, "Do I have time to reach out to my supplier or multiple suppliers?" "Yeah, okay, I do." And then they don't get back to you in time and your deadline's coming. So you can bid with confidence with the material price updates. What's another one? Labor, I think. The items the items in, EBM are labored, so everything you take off includes the labor time, and that then can also there's also multiple values of labor. So is it more difficult? Do you think that the installation, I don't know, if it's a tall ceiling or something, is a little more difficult? It's really easy to amp the number up on labor on the fly and not have to think about it too much. It's all right there in the system. There's Nika labor units built in.
Now, is
So
that labor being done with the products themselves? So, like, do you guys have, like, if there's, say you're going into some place and you're like, well, I have to do this install of this product. And if they're selecting a particular product, does it have labor units built into it that automatically update?
it doesn't have that.
Okay.
So EBM comes with a, what would you call it? Kind of a boilerplate list of items that are actual manufacturer items that are very common.
Hmm.
And if there's not going to be a ton of difference, typically there is difference between different manufacturers, different vendors' items, or I don't know, like a panel or something,
Hmm.
and how long it might take to install. And some of that will come onto the estimator. The software doesn't know the labor of every material that's out there, everything that you're going to install, but it has 10,000 plus items that are all that all include a labor unit. And
Okay.
if you think there's an efficiency, or your team has an efficiency with a certain panel installation or lighting types of lighting fixtures, because that vendor brags about it and you believe in it and you have experienced it, then you can, of course, adjust the labor on the fly, just factoring down by a percentage, or
Okay.
just reset it yourself. And you can either reset it for that job or reset it for in the master database. So in all your future jobs, that item will always have that specific labor unit.
So there's going to be general labor units for the products in there, but if they need to adjust it accordingly based off of their own personal preference for install, knowing their team could do something, they can go in and do it or
Right.
adjust for what a manufacturer is sort of telling them.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. A generic example might be like the light switch a light switch that we have is maybe Leviton. I can't remember if it's Lutron or Leviton in EBM right now.
Mhm.
And maybe you don't install Leviton, maybe you install another light switch, but I don't think there's that many efficiencies in light switches, even though they tell you that there might be, but maybe there are. Anyway, you would just use that same light switch because you don't really care when you're bidding which light switch you're using. You just want the spec light switch
Yeah.
that is required for the job, and mostly those are interchangeable. I mean, maybe that's not a great example, but that's an example of a more of a
Yeah.
generic switch.
You're not changing so much labor between a Leviton or a Lutron install for a light switch. It's going to be about the same. But if you went to one, say the new Hubble, that's saying it saves you 10% time, your guy could go in there and change it to, minus 10% install time and it'll update for you accordingly or something.
Yes. Yes, that it's very easy. Or you bring in that light switch and you plug in the labor unit. You could look at what's in there now and then say, okay, let's take 10% off of that. And just when you add the item to the EBM estimating database, you just change that a little bit, and then it's forever like that, and you use that forever. I mean, some of our customers, most of our customers, as they use the system, they start customizing it here and there
Yeah.
to kind of tighten the screws or sharpen their pencils or whatever, to make sure that they're even more confident in their bids.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I probably within the first 5 years of ownership, maybe only 25% of our customers dig in too much to that, because what's there now is great for estimating.
Hmm. Well, I mean, that's a huge benefit right there. I mean, we started out talking about pitfalls, and if they're noticing something within in the software that they can tighten up or change or adjust for themselves to know that, hey, going forward, this is going to be working in a manner that works best for me, and it takes away maybe some of these challenges or issues I've had before. That customization is a big thing for them right there.
Definitely.